In recent months, police and justice officials have made some high-profile moves against members of the Heartless Felons. That's a predominantly Cleveland-based street gang. Several members have been indicted on charges ranging from robbery to murder. And while much of the gang activity is where you might expect, on the streets or in prison, it's also prominent online. Tony Ganzer is the host of All Things Considered on 90.3 WCPN. He's been keeping an eye on the Heartless Felons' online activity. Tony, welcome to Ideas.
Hi, Rick.
A lot of people probably never heard of this. They've heard of Crips and Bloods, but Heartless Felons.
That's right, Heartless Felons. This is a gang that actually started in the prison system, and they had a large footprint in the juvenile system, but over time they've expanded to the streets. And as you mentioned, there have been a lot of high-profile indictments recently. So I just did a Google search, actually, to find out who they are, kind of what they look like, what are their, what's their MO, I guess. And when you search for just Heartless Felons, you come up with YouTube hits, and there are videos from rappers associated with the gang. And it turns out that a lot of gangs are on social media.
Well, let's go ahead and take a listen to one then, because I'm intrigued by this idea.
Bounce, bounce, bounce. Shot fired, man down, top signs. Yeah. I'm on the nigga, so try me, boy. 30-year projects, come and find me, boy. Yeah. Goons all around me and beside me, boy. Get your ass work trying to try me, boy. Big guns, big clips, toe tags, bags, zip, yellow tape, white chalk, blood and brains all on the side. Down.
So what's the purpose of that? Is it recruitment, publicity?
I think it's a lot of things, and some of the experts I talked to said that there is a propaganda element to this, that you want to represent yourself as a gang member, saying I'm the toughest, our territory is the biggest, etc. It's also a networking device, because you can use these YouTube videos to get out a particular message. You also have the comment section below that people are representing their opposing gangs. But what I did to find out how big this trend is of gangs on social media, I took some of the symbols and the calls from that video that we just watched. I put it into Instagram, and all of a sudden you have hashtag HF, for example, and you have a lot of Cleveland-based users of Instagram posting things that look like gang activity. And truth be told, this doesn't prove anything, but it sure is interesting. And I spoke to a researcher at the University of Michigan, Desmond Patton. He's been looking at gang activity all over the country, specifically in Chicago, though, and he traced a rap battle that started on Twitter, just insults going back and forth. It turned into a murder in real life, and he says that gangs all over the place are doing this.
Okay, so if Tony Ganzer can sit at ideastream and track these groups, I would like to think the police department can do this. Is it making their job easier? They at least know when things have happened?
I asked Cleveland police for a statement. I wanted them to participate in the story. They didn't want to comment on this, said it might influence their investigations. I talked to the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office. They said much of the same thing. But off the record, talking with activists who are on the street, talking with researchers, they say law enforcement was some of the first people, the first organizations on top of this. They have sometimes units just observing social media all the time. We don't know what they're doing with that, presumably looking for leads and then acting on them, but truth be told, all we can say is they know about it.
They're out there, somewhat reassuring then. So what are you working on next? Where does the story go from here?
So I did the radio story, and we brought up a lot of different issues, just about how safe the streets are, how prevalent gangs are in Cleveland right now. So next week, we're going to follow up with other interviews, former gang members, people associated with Heartless Felons, and hopefully keep this discussion going.
Okay. ideastream's Tony Ganzer, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you, Rick.
Now, if you haven't heard it, you can hear Tony's story in full by visiting our website, ideas.wviz.org. Tony continues to follow the story, so tune in as he hosts All Things Considered. That's weekdays, 4 until 6:30 p.m. on 90.3 WCPN IdeaStream.